Hi there. Have you thought about reselling on eBay and maybe making a few extra bucks? Well, this show is all about how you can resell items on eBay and what sort of mindset and what you need to do to be successful at it. So welcome to the channel. My name is Prof Sales, and on this channel, we talk about reselling. We talk about being an entrepreneur, how to be in business for yourself, and just basically how to earn a living selling things on eBay. So this show is part of a series of shows I do every week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And you can check out all those shows on my channel, different playlists throughout the channel. It's also a live show. So we will be interacting with people who are in a live chat, which if you ever want to be part of the live chat, just join us during the time that the show is live at 2 o'clock on Eastern Standard, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you can join in. And if you have questions and so on, leave me a question down below and I will do my best to answer it. So let's talk about this reselling idea as the room fills up. I wanted to start off defining reselling just so people know what we're talking about or how I view it. And then you guys can talk about, maybe it means something a little different to you, but this is kind of the definition I came up with. Is to resell something is to buy an item that you did not create. That's important because you didn't make it usually. And to buy it for a low cost and sell it at a higher price to make a profit on eBay. Now, there's obviously a lot that goes into, what's a reasonable amount of profit and so on. But I just wanted to kind of throw that out there because, if you're creating things and selling those on eBay, that's not necessarily reselling per se. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a slightly different model. That would be more like you're creating an item and selling it. You're more traditional retail. Big retailers like a Walmart or Best Buy, for instance, or Target. Those stores are all resellers, basically. They're usually not creating too many of their products. Sometimes they have their own in-house brands that are created for them. But for the most part, they are not reseller. They are not creating the items they sell. They are reselling them. And when you do that on eBay or any e-commerce platform, you're basically doing the exact same thing. You're buying something and then you're selling it for more than you bought it for. So that kind of brings up the question, why would somebody pay more for an item than they could go buy it for themselves? And I think that's where it comes, this whole definition of reselling comes into play. And you got to understand what it is exactly you are delivering as a reseller to your customer. And this is kind of how I view it. And I just want to say, first of all, you need to think of yourself as a personal shopper. So what I mean by that, so there's people out there who want to buy things, new things, pre-owned things, doesn't matter, but they are not able to go get them themselves or find them, at the same source as you are for all kinds of reasons. Maybe in your part of the country, those items are more plentiful. Maybe they're unable to go out. Maybe they don't have the time or energy. Who knows? But then they come online and they come on eBay and they look to buy something, that they could not get themselves or paying for you to be their personal shopper. Now, you're not going to meet these people. It's not like they're contacting you and saying, hey, can you go find this? But if you think about it, that's in effect what you're doing. You're shopping for someone you're never going to meet, and you are trying to meet or exceed their expectations of what it is they're looking to find. And because you are willing to go out and find that item or items, you have to earn some sort of profit for your time and energy put into it. Because after all, you're buying the item, you're taking a risk, you're listing the item, you're photographing the item, you're packing, shipping it, and selling to this person. So you deserve to be compensated for that work. Now, I know there'd be some people out there would say, well, you didn't create the item. But that's not how most of the world works. I mean, most of the world is repackaging items that are made somewhere else. There are companies and entities that make things, and then there's companies and entities that sell things, and there are some companies that do both. But those are two different models, actually, making items versus selling items, and they require a whole different mindset. There's a lot of companies that make items and sell them at a wholesale cost to a retailer who marks them up and takes on the risk of, buying those items, holding on to them, putting them in a physical store, maybe an online store. So if you buy an item and you take the risk of, not selling it for you've risked your capital and your time and energy, you are compensated by being able to offer that item for more than what you paid for it. And that's the way reselling works in a nutshell. And you are basically acting as a personal shopper for these people who you're never going to meet. But I think it's important to remember you're providing a service. So you deserve compensation for that simply because you are willing to put in the time and energy and the risk. Some people will get upset and say, well, it's not fair to ask people to pay more for something than you paid for it. But I can't for the life of me think of a model where I would want to go out and buy an item for $10 and then resell it to someone for $10. That doesn't make sense. Or maybe I sell it to them just enough that I end up paying for the fees that eBay, charges me, and then I break even. Like, how does that even make sense? And I know, this gets into a philosophical argument about, what's right and what's moral and ethical, and we're all going to have a different take on that. But for the most part, it's understood that if you're buying something and you're reselling it, you're going to be making a profit on it. Now, how much profit it is or how much should you get, you guys decide that on your own. I think that's a tricky road to go down and figure out. But you are providing a service, and service is valuable. So I think you deserve to be compensated. A couple other things too, though, I want to talk about with this topic. You've got customers. Now, again, these are the people who are going to be buying the items from you or might buy the items from you, but they're your customers and they have an expectation about what it is that they want from you. And we'll get into that in just a moment, but they are a customer for you. Now, a lot of resellers out there who are on eBay, they don't want to view the people who buy things from them as customers. And so therefore they think of them as this, sort of voidless entities out there that just send them a check and send them a payment. And I think that's a mistake. I know it's a mistake because there's a human being on the other end of that transaction who has, the same expectations of you as you probably have of them. So make sure that you're treating that person as a customer. We all know we've all had bad customer service in stores and encounters, and we've had good customer service. And you probably already know what that looks like and feels like. And there's no reason for you as an eBayer to give people poor customer service. I think it's a big mistake. I don't think it's the right thing to do as a person, and I don't think it's the right thing to do for your business. I was just talking about this earlier today, and you have to be able to put yourself in the other person's place. So you have a buyer on the other end of a transaction, and a lot of eBayers, a lot of people who want to get into this reselling game, they want to put an item up there, put it up for a price, sell it to someone, and then never hear from that person again. When reality is, you're going to put items up there. Sometimes you're going to make mistakes with the listing. Sometimes potential buyers are going to ask you questions. You're going to sell an item and you're going to have a problem packing and shipping it. Your item might get lost on the way to the customer. It might get damaged. The customer may receive it and say that they didn't. They may try to pull one over on you. They may get it and it's not what they thought it was going to be and they want a refund. They may want to return it to you, and then you don't want to deal with the return. The reality is, if you're going to be selling things to people reselling, you're going to have to deal with returns, questions, scams, shipment problems, all of these things. So don't expect that you're just going to sell something to someone and then never hear from them again. That's going to happen in a lot of cases, but it's not going to happen in every case. And you've got to expect that, customer service from start to finish, not just and after you sell the item, is not the end of the customer service transaction. It's going to be there, and you have to wrap your head around that. If you can't wrap your head around that, then buying and selling things on eBay or buying things to sell on eBay is probably not for you, because you have to have a customer service mindset. And it's not hard. Most of it's common sense. But, and I know I hear all the stories. People will say, well, but I'm not a big retailer and I can't afford a return and blah, blah, blah. If you can't afford a return, you really can't afford to be listing that item, because it could get returned. You know, that's just reality. So if that's the case, don't even put it up for sale would be my advice to you. Because that's part of the deal. You accept the possibility of returns and things lost and all kinds of things. Some things are your fault, some things are not, but it doesn't matter. You also, in terms of this, you know, what does this customer service look like before you even sell the item? Well, I think you need to have great photos. I think you need to write a great description and title that lets people know what they're buying. When you leave things out or add things in that don't really belong, you are confusing the buyer. Remember, guys, most of these people are never going to see the item until they get it. So if you don't describe it accurately and completely, then you basically are doing your customer a disservice. And I just recently had one where I sold a pair of jeans to someone and they gave me feedback and said, these jeans actually look new. Thank you so much. They're pre-owned, but I took really good photos of them. I made sure, I have a personal rule. I usually won't sell anything to someone that I personally would not wear or use myself. And I have a pretty high standard for what I will accept in terms of clothing quality. I think that's a good way to act. Because if you throw a bunch of stuff up there and say, well, this has got damage, but that won't be a big thing, and that probably won't be a problem. You know what? You're right. It might not be a problem, but it could. And, you know, the customer gets it and they're disappointed. And you should be trying to delight your customers, as Warren Buffett likes to say. That's how you build a successful business. That's how you have a successful mindset. And you can't do that if you're not accurately describing your items, if you're not anticipating problems. When you see that thread that is coming loose on, you know, a button on a shirt, you need to deal with that. You're either going to fix it or describe it accurately, or maybe not even sell the item. So I'm a big believer in that, guys. Just under promise and over deliver. You know, you can always say, hey, there's some wear on this item. See the photo. You don't have to go into all this detail and say it's a lot of wear, a little wear, it's a big hole, a small hole. You can say, hey, there's a hole here. I'm going to show you a photo, maybe with something in the photo to show the scale of the, you know, maybe a penny or a quarter or whatever you need. And say, and then let the person describe, or let the person decide if they want to get it or not. That way you've covered yourself. You've told the customer what they need to know, and there shouldn't be any issue on the back end. Now, people can still say to you after they get the item, well, this was more worn than I thought. And I've had that happen. I had a pair of jeans I sold about 6 months ago, and the person said I had more wear on the knees than they thought. I did not send a photograph of the knees because I didn't think the knees had much wear on it, but they did. Who's right? There is no right or wrong in that situation. This is not, reselling is not a game show where you're getting quizzed and you have to get the right answers. It's not. It's a business. And in a business, your objective is to make sure that your customers are happy as you can possibly make them. You can't make every customer happy, and every customer is not going to be happy with every seller either. There's another side of this equation, but that's your objective. Make them happy. Give them information. Let them know what they need to know. Give them, you know, everything they need to know to make a fair decision. And then if they pull the trigger and they buy something from you, great. And if they have an issue with it, deal with it. It drives me nuts to hear people say, oh, it's just a scammer and this buyer is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, not every buyer is a scammer. And just because they have an issue with something doesn't mean they're scamming you. Most of the time, they're not scamming you. Most of the time, you focus on the ones who you think are scamming you because it makes you feel better about yourself. That's the reality. We don't like to admit that maybe we made a mistake. Maybe we didn't accurately describe that item. Maybe we should have provided a photo of that area. Maybe we forgot that in the description. Maybe we screwed up the measurement on something. We don't want to think about that as sellers, but those things happen. You make mistakes. I made tons of them, and I try to deal with them. I'm apologetic. I'm empathetic towards the customer. I ask them what they want to do in certain cases, and if I can, I make them happy. And for the most part, I've been able to do that. There's been very few customers where I left the transaction thinking that person was not happy with the way that went. That's almost never happened. But if you don't approach it with that mindset, if you approach it with the mindset that the buyers are out to get you, that they're there just to scam you and pull the wool over your eyes, I got news for you guys. Most people are not going to sit home and think, what $17 or $16 with free shipping shirts can I buy off of eBay and screw a buyer out of and get it for free? That's not the way most people think. It just isn't. And the ones who do that are going to do that whether you provide 100% customer service or not, like this great service. Those are not the ones you're trying to win over. Like, it's not going to matter. If someone's going to try to scam you, they're going to scam you. They're going to do it. They're going to figure it out. If they want to put that much time and energy into it, it'll happen. But the ones you want to keep as good customers and even repeat customers are the people that, basically they will, understand if you make a mistake and you can fix it. So if you can fix it, you fix it. And if you can't, you can't. But that's all you can do. You're going to make mistakes. So I see Abraham was talking about a pair of jeans with a hole in the pocket. So I made a mistake with them. And you can send them back, Abraham, or you can keep them if you want. I can send you a refund. But I don't even think I knew that till just now, or maybe I've heard it before. But it happens. You're going to miss things. When you go through hundreds and thousands of items, you're going to make mistakes. And buyers are going to catch it because all they're getting from you is that one item. You're concerned about 10 items or 50 items or 100 items. So you're going to screw it up. You're going to make a bunch of mistakes. And it's okay. You just deal with them and move on. So under promise and over deliver. Shipping is a great example of that. Getting it to them even quicker than you could. That's a great example. I love it when I get something to somebody and I get the feedback, hey, it came here even faster than I thought. It's like, man, that is so easy to get a great feedback on. But anyway, so, think about all those things. If you want to be a reseller on eBay, guys, I don't know. I feel like you have to have the right mindset to be a reseller. You can't just go in and thinking, I'm going to sell stuff and make money. Like, that's not really the right mindset per se, because that will lead you to take shortcuts. It will lead you to forget things. It will lead you to view buyers in a different light. And that will not make you successful. I think in a lot of cases, that will lead to a fairly short reselling career for you. If you view it as, I just want to sell things to make money, you got to think about, hey, I'm going to provide a great service to these customers. And yeah, a result of that is going to be that I'm going to make, good profits. Nothing wrong with that. So hopefully that was helpful. It's just kind of been on my brain today. And, if you have any questions about that, leave them in the chat. Or if you're watching this later, leave them down below. Any comments, I'd like to hear from you, especially if you're a first-time viewer. I'd like to hear your impressions. Leave me a question down below. I'll do my best to answer it. I try to do that with every question, but specifically if you're a first-time viewer, we're glad you're here. Karin, yes, is not here. Karin is, where the heck is she? Minnesota or somewhere like that. She is on a trip doing some work out of town, and she will be back on Wednesday, but probably not in time for the show. I think her flight comes in later. So, yep, I am Karinless today. So I'm bacheloring it up. Is that a word? I don't think it is. Let's see here. A couple questions. Dwight said, I want to know how you scale with a team. I think the best way you scale with a team, Dwight, it's a good question. Thanks for that. Is that you have to divide up responsibilities. I think the problem that I struggle with that, and Karna did it first. I wanted her to know how to do everything, and then I realized that wasn't really an efficient use of our skill set. There were things I was better at than her, and things that she was better at than me. So it made sense to sort of divvy up the responsibilities and let people do things that they were, good at. Eventually, you can learn everything, but at first, especially if you're hiring employees, it's better if you can find something that someone is really good at, and maybe it's a couple things, and that's fine, and let them do that, because then that takes it off your plate. But you got to have a process to support that. If you got somebody who, for instance, is taking your photographs, all right, so they're taking your photos, but how do you get the items to them to be photographed? How are they quality controlled first? After they get the photos, how do they get the photos delivered to wherever you're going to list them from? If that's your process. So you got to think about all those things too, so that you can actually scale that photo process up into your business. And those are not impossible questions to figure out. But anyway, let's see here. Oh, Abraham just found his hole today. All right, Abraham, maybe you put that hole there, you scammer. No, I'm just kidding, Abraham. Sorry. I'm sure we missed it. It happens. Pockets on jeans are an easy thing to miss a hole in, because we don't think about it. And usually Karen and I are pretty good about putting our hands down in the pockets, because, Karen's always looking for that found money. So it's absolutely an easy thing to miss. So let's see. Question: we work to make money, right? Why would we be doing it for any other reason? Because you can make money doing anything, Kareem. You can make money doing all sorts of things and all sorts of level of money. I think that if you are doing it only for money, I think that you run the risk of burning out very quick. You probably won't be very good at it. There's so many things you can do to make money that if that's your only reason for doing it, then I don't know that you're going to be very successful at it, because you could pick literally anything. It's like when I used to be a store manager and ask people, I know you want a job, but why do you want to work here? And people would say, to make money. And I'm going, well, you can work anywhere and do that. Why do you want to work here? What's your reason for being here, doing this? This is what interests you. Why? And if they didn't have a good answer to that, I didn't hire them. I didn't hire them because I knew that they wouldn't care. So if you're doing something just to make money, I don't think you're going to care about it too much either. And it's going to show through to your customers. So that would be my answer to that. Let's see. I'm not sure what Mark's saying here. Someone wants a pair of Levi's 501 3232. They can get them at the same thrift store as me, but they got to run through all the inventory and they might not find it. Yeah, yes, exactly. So they basically, you're providing that service to them. They're not having to go. And that's why people are paying more. People want convenience. People are paying you for convenience. That's Mark's point. I think that, you're putting it on eBay and they're paying you to find it for them and deliver it to them, which is great. They're paying, you're basically providing that service. So I think that's a big part of reselling. I think it's an important thing not to overlook. And sometimes, and often they're getting a good deal too. I mean, if you could go, if I told you could go look through 5 stores and find your pair of jeans you want, or you can go on eBay and buy it in 5 minutes, which would you do? But if you bought in the store, you have to pay $5. But if you want on eBay, you'd have to pay 20. That's kind of close, because going through 5 stores would take you hours. Whereas eBay would only take you a few minutes. I don't know. I think you're paying for that convenience. Great place to buy plastic bins. What kind depends on the size. I think Walmart is a pretty good place. Magnum Steel, Target, all these places have, when you can catch them on sale and so on. It kind of depends on what size you want. I'm probably not the best expert on plastic bins, to be honest with you. Is there a reason why your videos are so repetitive lately? I'm just wondering if I missed a channel update. I'm not sure, Thrifty Rose. I don't think they are repetitive. Are they repetitive in the sense they all talk about eBay? Sure. A lot of them do. And I guess, I think you see what you want to see. with anything you watch. And, you know, if they seem repetitive to you, I don't know. And I think you have to repeat a lot of messages anyway, to a large extent. That, you know, a message comes across different ways. You have to say it a different way for a different person, a different audience. But that would be my response to it. Let's see here. Make a dream or picture board of your goals to help motivate you. Set times doing tasks and listen to Motown music. You can do it. I like that classic rock lover. That's great. Those are great. Those are great tips, all of them. A picture board or dream board. Yeah, Entrepreneur Girl Tracy Smith talks about that. She's got a lot of really good videos on her channel about doing that in her office setup, where she does a really good job with that. So we've had her on the show before. So where's your view on drop shipping on eBay? Oh, man, Magnum, I don't know much about it. I'm probably not the best person. I mean, I understand the theory of it. I do know that with drop shipping, you are at the mercy of your supplier. And when they run out of things, like I was looking at something the other day and it came in 8 different colors. And this person was obviously a drop shipper. And 4 of the colors were sold out. And I thought, oh, you know, what kind of message does that send to your buyer? So I think you have to be really cautious with the suppliers that you use for drop shipping, just because, you know, you don't know how, it's kind of tricky to know how good they're going to be. Are they going to stay in stock? Is their price going to significantly change? Are they going to be able to meet demand? All these are important questions to think about with drop shipping. I think it's got a lot of potential because obviously you're not putting money into inventory, which is great. But you've got to work out that supply, the supply side part of it on the back end. And I'm definitely not the right person to give you a lot of great advice about it. So let me just say that up front. Resell Country says, yeah, you have new subs coming every day. Yep, you're exactly right. People haven't heard it. Have you ever had someone buy it now on auction with 0 bids, but it's closing in less than 10 minutes? Would you take all or would you refund? Starting bid was, I don't really do too many auctions, Aaron, so I don't know. I guess on theory, would you take all the money or would you refund? I don't know. I'd probably just sell it at that price. I mean, I don't know. You know, auction's a little different. Buy it now, like with buy it now, I like to require immediate payment, but auction I don't. Obviously, you don't have to. They can wait, so that's a little less convenient for you as a buyer. I don't know. Probably not a great answer there. What point should you get a storage unit? Dwight asked. I think, Dwight, that's a great question. I think you should get a storage unit when it's starting to affect your living space. And that could be in a lot of different ways. Maybe like you're having to step around things, you can't find things aren't organized because you really don't have the space to do it. And you got to want to grow into that storage unit space, because when you first get it, you're like, oh, I got to pay $50, $100, $200 a month, whatever it is. You know, you got to commit to that. Like you got to commit to using it and going to it each day when you put items away and you pull items from, you know, for sales and so on. I think it's all those reasons. Luke over on Endless Entrepreneurs, he actually has a pretty good sized storage unit, which I've been to. And he has a pretty good system for dealing with it. So you might check out his channel and his thoughts too on that. He's got a lot of great content there about that specific issue. But I just think it's those reasons. You run out of space, you want to grow, and you're going to continue growing into it. It does allow you to be more organized, because then it's just a set space for just your storage, and you're not like piling stuff around in different places or tripping over things. And that has some efficiencies. But you got to be efficient then, because you've got to think about a schedule of going to that unit, you know, taking things that you've just listed and put them away, pulling the items you've sold, maybe something like that. Do you use SKUs? Is that supposed to be SKUs, Magnum? Just to I create my own SKU basically that involves just an item number and a inventory location. And so it kind of creates like its own. Technically, it's just the item number is just the SKU. The inventory location is just tagged onto it as well. And I just do it sequentially. But there's a lot of different ways you could do it. Barcodes are great, but you got to invest in some technology and so on. And I don't know. I just don't think they're as useful for me right now. But a barcode system works amazing, especially if you can use it with your inventory system to take it out of inventory when you sell something, which is great. Dwight, when you can't move around your house comfortably. Yeah, I know, right? Storage unit, that's a great, man, that's like a whole nother topic. I mean, you're using a storage unit in your house. You're storing it somewhere right now. You're using that space. And theoretically, you're paying for that space. The cost of your house, part of your house is being used for your storage. Now, there are some advantages to that, but you're already paying for it, quote unquote. You could theoretically live in a smaller space if you didn't have to use that storage. People are talking about the 64 quart bins. Yeah. Should I get rid of my laser printer and use a thermal printer? That depends, Dwight, on what you're using it for. I mean, you could use just thermals for your entire business, really. You could use them for shipping labels, inventory labels, anything else you need, theoretically. Well, not even theoretically, you can. So, yeah. Why not? If you want to go that route, I think it's great. Thermal printers are great. I have a little Dymo 450. Works awesome. Have you ever done a video on your inventory and SKU system? Yeah, there's a couple of them out there. I have Magnum if you search through on some of the how-tos, I think, maybe. But I probably need to do an updated one. Inventory is tricky when you're dealing with different size items and you know, you're moving through items at different time. It's just a tricky subject, but I do like talking about it, but I feel like I never really master it. I don't know. How would you handle all your items if you're moving from VA to Florida? Try to sell as much as you can or make trips. That's a great question. Well, I guess it depends on what your items are, Jay Barnum, and how many you have. Theoretically, I guess you would want to put them in totes and keep them very organized and say, you know, this tote has these items. Maybe it was this shelf of items or whatever. And then you would need some sort of vehicle to move them. Obviously, you'd want to sell as much as you could, I think, before you make that move. Making trips, I mean, that's just your personal preference there. VA to Florida is not a quick drive. So, yeah, let's see. Have you guys been increasing your inventory? Yeah, a little bit. We're actually, it's funny you ask that. Somebody else was asking about items and listings and so on. This is the period of time when I start kind of ramping up my sourcing and listing. So we have an opportunity this week. We're going to be getting some sourcing done Thursday, and there'll be some other times this week too. But yeah, we are starting to buy a little bit more. I've got another topic around that I'm probably going to save for the Wednesday show, but I'll discuss it with you guys then. I'm not going to talk about today. But yes, we are starting to, this is the time to sort of ramp up your listings if you're a clothing seller, I think, if you're not already doing so. No VA, Dwight, I'm sorry, we do not use one. Perfectly great way to run your business, but we do not use one. Let's see. 50% off sale, Abraham says. Yeah, that's a good way to get rid of some stuff, 50% off. When you mention selling a niche product such as jeans, isn't that niche already overflooded? I find it hard to find quantities of a unique niche in one store. Your thoughts, please. That's a great question, Mary. You know, this idea of a niche or an area on eBay being overflooded or saturated, I'm really curious where people come up with their analysis of this, because I'm going to say, you know, I'm just going to say it this way. There are certain markets on eBay that are really large, and they're really large for a reason, because there's a lot of demand. And then as demand dries up, you know, that market will scale down a little bit just sort of naturally, because people will see sales go down and so on. I don't really know how to tell if a market on eBay is flooded or not, because here's the part that people never consider on eBay. or I find they very rarely do. When somebody says there's a lot of demand in this niche or there's not much demand in this niche, they tend to look at the past and they don't tend to look at what's occurring right now or likely to occur in the near future. eBay is not a static market. There's always buyers and sellers coming on and off the platform. And we tend to forget that the overall pie can grow and shrink based on all kinds of factors that we have no control over. And I look at it like in the bigger markets, like jeans, for instance, where you've got a few million listings. I'm never going to own a significant portion of that market, not very likely. And so I don't think that my particular amount of items I put on there is going to necessarily be better or not. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. And I'm not necessarily a fan of their cars, but Tesla, the auto producer. Would you argue that the auto market is saturated? I mean, there's plenty of automakers out there. And if you live in the United States, you have tons of them. And okay, I'll just say it like this. The market can always fill up with too many sellers of an item. That's always possible, right? What's almost never happens, there's always room for good sellers with the right products at the right price, with the right description, selling to the right customers. I think there's always a market for that in any niche that you want to talk about. And I don't think there are many really good sellers. I think by definition, that's always going to be a small number. So like going back to my Tesla example, why did Elon Musk think he should start up a car company, which by the way, is no small undertaking to start up a car company and try to scale that up. You can imagine the enormous amount of investment and time and energy that takes. And even then, there's no guarantee you'll get it right. But when they make big bets like that, even Elon Musk, I think he was talking about his car company, but he's also talking about SpaceX. He estimated they only had like a 5 or 10% chance of succeeding. So it wasn't even that high. And that was going off in an area that no one had ever been in before. Going into a market where there's already a lot of sellers, I tend to think of that as an opportunity usually. You just got to find a way to be a really good seller. I mean, it's like being by that same definition, I shouldn't have started a YouTube channel. There's already a lot of YouTube content providers out there. There's a lot of people talking about reselling and so on. But you know what? This is who I am. And if I'm passionate about it, it goes back to that passion argument. If you're passionate about it, you can do it and be really good at it. And if you're good at it, if you're sincere to what you're doing, I think people will respond. I mean, I just look at it differently. So I don't know. Different approach, I guess. To use inventory management software, I do not. I just use my spreadsheets and so on. Did you notice the sales jump when you hit 500 listings? No. I wish I did. But I don't know there's any magic number. Somebody asked about that the other day. I don't think there's any magic number you hit and there's necessarily a jump up. I don't know why eBay would ever do that. Fidget spinners, yeah. But fidget spinners was not a mature market that had been around for a long time. Like it kind of came out of nowhere. So nobody knew how big it could really be. You know, something like jeans is not an immature market. It's been around for decades. So and there's a track record you can go back and sort of look at. So I think that's not really comparing apples and apples there. Did I hear my name mentioned? Yeah, Mr. Sadie, we were talking about you. What's one way doing YouTube has hurt your business? I don't think it has. Like, I guess I don't look at it as like a way it hurts or a way it helps. I try to look at it in terms of like the whole equation. Like, what has it given me versus what has it taken out of me? And when I do that, I find that it's given me more than it's taken. It's given me a community. It's given me networking opportunities I never would have had. It's given me an opportunity to express myself and, teach somewhat, which is something I love to do. It's given me an opportunity to learn things I never would have gotten the opportunity to learn otherwise. So has it taken time and energy? Yes, no question. Has it been time and energy that's worth it? Yes, no question. So I don't look at it as like it's hurt my business. I look at it, when you add up the sum total of all of those things, it's helped my business in lots of numerous ways. So I guess I just look at it differently. It's survival of the smartest. Yes, Sarah, it is survival of the smartest. Everyone likes something different. Room enough for everything, everyone. Yep. Let's see here. How are you finding? Okay. I'm going to cover a couple quick things. We'll jump back into the questions. So somebody had asked me the other day, or I made a video a week ago, maybe it's 2 weeks ago, and it was about, are you breaking the law on eBay? A lot of people like that video. I guess it had a very clickbaitish title. But so I wanted to say something about that because I got contacted twice now about that video. Like the first contact was about, hey, giving out, you know, the first contact was what prompted me to do the video. This idea that, hey, if you list items at a higher price and then mark them down, you can get better sell through, and that might not be legal given, you know, FTC rules. And then I got contacted by someone who claimed they were an attorney and said that they, you know, thought that the video could be construed as giving legal advice, which you can't do if you're not a lawyer. So let me just say this again, once more for the record, and very, very clearly in case anyone didn't get it. So I will be on record here. Sorry, Karen's beeping in here. I am not a lawyer. I do not have a law degree. I do not have a law school education. I do not think that you should take my view and give it any heavier weight than anybody else's on subjects about legality, about anything. I'm not a constitutional scholar. I'm not any of those things. What I tried to say in that video, so maybe poorly, was that to me, it looked like the moral and ethical thing to do, and possibly legal thing to do, possibly, was to make sure that I wasn't misleading my customers by offering up a fake sale price and then marking it down. And I think that's the way you should run your business. I think that. Is that in tune with the law? I have no idea. No idea. I am in no way, shape, or form qualified to make that decision. So if you are in doubt about the legality of marking up things or marking down things, and if you're complying with the law, ask a lawyer. A lawyer, not a YouTube lawyer, not someone who's giving legal information to you or anything like that. Ask someone who actually is a lawyer, guys, and they can tell you for sure what to do. So I just want to make that very clear to you guys. So, hey, do whatever selling procedure you want to do and you're comfortable with, and that you've been advised to do by competent legal representation. Knock yourself out. So if anybody felt like they were misled or anything, or thought that I had some sort of authority I did not have, I don't. So I just want to make that very, very clear. All right. Now that we got that nonsense out of the way, are you finding that promoted listings having an impact? Yeah, my sales have been going up a little bit, Drummer. Is it because of that? Maybe. I haven't really looked at the statistics, but I went in and put them all on, so we'll see how that's going with the promoted listings. I don't think all new resellers will stick around for the long haul. CG Barn. Yeah, that's true. Like the flooded market theory. Not everybody's going to stay. People will change all the time. I mean, obviously there's some, you know, is it gaining or losing or staying the same? What clothing has the highest average selling price? Well, that's a great question. I mean, that's going to be brand, and it's going to be brand specific. It's going to be it's going to be more brand specific, Dwight, I think, than type of item specific. So I would say, you know, some of your higher end brands, your Versace's and, you know, Chanel and things like that, Louis Vuitton, some of these Burberry, you know, Brioni suits are pretty high end and can sell for a pretty penny, especially when new. But it's also going to be somewhat dependent on the category as well, but it's really a lot of the brand. So I would look at it in terms of brands, not just the type of clothing. I've been helped by your YouTube channel. Thank you. You're very welcome, WV Thrifter. Appreciate that. Don't forget to smash the like button. Thanks, Adam. What? You're not a lawyer. Please send my speeding tickets back. Well, you sped, Mr. Sadie, so the tickets stay. Sorry. Just kidding, obviously. Has anyone ever paid full retail for a shirt at JCPenney? What does that even mean? That's a funny question for some reason. Let's see. Lawyers don't like laymen understanding legalities themselves. Yeah, it's interesting too, Aaron, because I actually, I haven't heard back from him, but I actually contacted a friend of mine who is a lawyer and said, hey, I made this video, and then I got this other question from somebody claiming to be a lawyer. And it wasn't like they were threatening me and saying, hey, you know, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't think what I did, you know, telling people to, you know, follow the law and do things that are morally and ethically right, I don't think there's really much risk there. But I don't want anybody to be misled and think that I had some sort of special legal knowledge or education when I don't, because I don't. And I didn't want anybody to think that in any way, shape, or form, that, you know, I was trying to give them. There's a difference between legal advice and legal information. You know, telling somebody, you know, what the First Amendment says is legal advice or is legal information. Telling them whether or not they slandered or libeled somebody and what they should do in terms of, you know, proceeding with a case, that might be considered legal advice, which is not. You can't do that unless you're a lawyer. So some slight differences there, but the differences mean everything. Let's see. Oh, I guess I missed a deleted message. Oh, so somebody putting in a website. Thanks for, yeah, guys, don't spam the chat with websites. Not because you might have a perfectly good website, but I don't know that, and I don't want to lead anybody to think that. Is there any way to outsource shipping? You know, Dwight, maybe. There are some people who, you know, technically, Dwight, you can send everything to Amazon FBA and they will ship it for you. Some people don't know that, but you can ship your eBay items to Amazon, have them store them in their warehouses. Then when you make a sale, you connect like your eBay to Amazon account. When you make a sale, you basically tell Amazon to ship the item to whoever bought it. Now, Amazon's going to charge you fees. So let's be clear. But yes, you can outsource shipping. Is there like a third party local place that does that? Like I know there's prep centers for Amazon FBA items. I'm not sure if there is for eBay or not. If anybody knows, you know. Jennifer says, reseller rehab update. The death pile is shrinking. Yes. And an assistant for eBay is starting this week. Oh, that's awesome, Jennifer. That is really good to hear. Jennifer was on our reseller rehab show. We're going to do another one of those, guys. I'm having trouble getting my guest and host lined up right now. It's like people on vacation. It's just driving me crazy trying to figure out scheduling. But yes, we will do another reseller rehab. I know some people have contacted me, so don't lose hope on that. We will do another one. It's just been tricky to get everybody connected. It's information you guys could look up. You just informed that, hey, this is out there. Sarah said, yes, Sarah. The difference is you cannot go in and just, you know, tell people how to do it. You can tell them it exists and where it is, but telling them what to take from it and how to live their lives by it, that's kind of tricky. Can I get in trouble for using the Tesla name on a ball cap? I don't know, Cheryl. Is Tesla part of the Vero program on eBay? I have no idea. I don't know if that's a Vero word or not. lot of people say they know how to eBay search works, but when I call into eBay, they cannot even tell me what is the deal with this Prof sales. Yeah, that's a great question, Kareem. I guess, eBay searching something on eBay should be technically just like any other search engine, but eBay's got their own algorithms and ways that they tweak the information based on what the person put in. And I don't know that they really share it all with everybody. Like they'll tell you about best practices, but to sit there and tell you exactly how it works, I don't think eBay is going to share that because it's proprietary information. They've developed those algorithms. They're trying to match, buyers with sellers based on what the buyers are looking for. And that's always going to be a refining process. Like you never get that perfect, I think. So eBay's always in the process of trying to make that better. Now, as sellers, how can we take advantage of it or, increase our chances of our item being seen? I guess theoretically, it's just, writing a good title with descriptive words, or not descriptive, with words that actually mean something to the item. Like, putting in this is a red bowl would be useful. Putting in it's an awesome bowl is not a useful term. Bowl, yes. Awesome, not so much. But just things like that you can, increase your chances of the person finding it. If you just put, hey, I've got a plastic bowl for sale, that's not as useful as saying I have a red plastic bowl for sale. Maybe somebody's looking for a red one. So things like that, we know those will help but it all comes down to how are people searching for it. And that's a tricky thing to figure out. Yeah, that was just a pair of jeans sold, an older pair of Kujis, one of my favorite brands. Someone questioned raising prices and running a sale. I posted your video. Guess I'd be considered an accessory. Yep, Adam, we're all going to the big house together, I think. Red plastic square deep bowl. Oh, I like that. Not so perfectly me said, there's a great point. Red plastic square. And then this has my lunch. Well, what was for lunch. And then deep, because you're right. It is kind of a deeper bowl. Oh, that's great. You could even put the dimensions, I guess, across too, or how deep it was. But, those are all things I think you always have to put in to make sure that somebody searching for you can hopefully find you. But, excuse me. Woo. Most awesome plastic red bowl for your cereal needs. Yeah, makes the food taste better, this bowl. Yeah, you don't want to put that in your title or description because that's not true. I've tried the new suggestions, including a white background, and saw no increase in watcher sales or views. Yeah, I don't know. The white background thing and will that increase you in search? That seems really tricky to me. I think eBay wants that because they want better catalog-like photos. Because when you see catalog-like photos of clothing, a lot of times it's on a white background or just something that's not really distracting you. Assuming it's not on a model. If it's on a model, it could be anywhere. How would you rate your shoe selling ventures? Expected, better than, worse than? Not quite as good as I'd hoped for, Mr. Sadie. I thought I would have a few more sales with it than I've had. And I definitely will do an update video. I almost did that today, actually. But then I realized I wasn't really ready to do it. So maybe I can do that Friday of this week, actually. But it's been, don't get me wrong, the shoes have been profitable and so on, but I'm such a newbie in it. It's like going back to jeans all over again and thinking I know nothing about selling these on eBay. And it's like I'm just having to relearn everything. And I forgot like how time consuming and challenging that can be. And it is, no question. It's worth it, but it still takes, you just got to slog through it. So I'm definitely not quite as far along in that as I'd like to be, but am I as far as I should be? I don't know. Who gets to decide that? Let's see. Does listing every day help with eBay sales search? That's the $64,000 question, Luis, but the conventional wisdom seems to be yes, it does. Cute, neat, awesome. Don't bring that up again in the Facebook groups. Brand, you guys are having fun with this bowl. Brand new, never used red bowl helps to lose 15 pounds in 5 days. Or better yet, new bowl only used once. Don't you love that? It's new, but it's been used once. I'm like, it's not really new at that point. That's what you would put if you were selling it locally, like on Craigslist or something. Although I don't know why you'd sell a red bowl, but whatever. CJ says, I don't think the white background helps. eBay search helps with Google search. There you go. Maybe that's the answer, CG. That could very well be it. And I know eBay is wanting to go that way, so we'll see what happens. I don't think it's a bad idea anyway, guys. I just think that the more stuff you put in the background of your photo, the trickier lighting can become. Remember, guys, a lot of people are seeing your items on these, right? So if they're seeing your item on a mobile device, it's going to be smaller, those photos. So the more stuff you have in the background, it's like kind of a lot of times a little bit higher. You got to be from the shot and further away. You can't show as much detail of the item then. I don't know. I've just never been a big fan of a lot of stuff in the background of shots. I don't think it helps you. I think it's neutral or hurts you. I don't think it helps you though. I really don't. Let's see. Got time for a few more questions. You guys are killing these questions. Thanks for the 126 viewers watching right now, guys. Appreciate that. Hit the like button if you're enjoying the content, and leave me a comment down below for sure. Don't forget that. Karen's not here to say smash the like button, but she's here in spirit. She's up there in Lauren's neck of the woods. Let's see. What are the questions? Shoes are coming soon, my friend. Thanks, Mr. Sadie. I appreciate that. Naked and Famous jeans found on my lunch break. Nice. Be glorious. I've never found Naked and Famous, believe it or not. I haven't found those. I look, but I've never found them. That's a great find, though. You'll definitely make some good money on them, assuming you got them for a good cheap price. Adam's like, that's what eBay said allegedly at the eBay Open. But Adam's not a lawyer, so don't take what he says too personal. It's not a professional opinion. Right, Adam? I'm finding difficulty finding a niche. I think you should start with what you know. You can obviously sell the things around your home, but maybe you've worked somewhere where you've had specific knowledge of a type of an area. Start with that. Like if you've worked in other places and you have knowledge of equipment or things that were used in that area or sold in that business or what have you, start there. I think that's a great place to start. And you may find and then you got to be thinking about, can you find these items somewhere to sell? But start with that. Make a list. Make a list. I use a gray background. It matches my cat. Okay. I don't know why I find that funny, but it kind of is. Are you selling more shoes or jeans this time? Jeans, but I have a lot more jeans listed, so that's not really, yeah, this time of year, if you're a clothing, it's still a little slow, guys. I was looking back at my last couple years, and August is still a slow month. I know it is for jeans. I think it is for most clothing sellers. It really doesn't pick up for good until right around the end of this month or September, and then it just keeps kind of growing. So don't get too discouraged. I know it sucks to have already gone through 2 slow months in a row now with June and July, and now we're in our 3rd one, but that's just what it is. Just sell what you like and no worries about a niche right off the top. Yeah, and Debbie's right, because if you're selling what you like and that kind of is a niche because that's what you've been exposed to, and then it'll evolve from there. So I think that's great advice. So, all right, guys. Well, look, that's going to do it for today. I want to thank everybody for coming out, and I really appreciate it. Lots of viewers today, so that's awesome to hear. I hope you guys have a great afternoon. I'll be back on Wednesday with a 2 o'clock show. And, make sure to check that out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 o'clock. hit the like button before you leave too, if you wouldn't mind. And please leave me a comment or question. I do try to respond somehow to them. Maybe it's just a like, maybe it's a quick comment, maybe it's a full-blown explanation, just kind of depends. So, but I do really appreciate you guys coming out. Karin will be back maybe Friday. I don't think she won't be back for Wednesday show, but she should be back for Friday show, which will be great. And we'll have some more information about some exciting things that are going on later in this week. So Rob, thank you so much for that super chat right here at the end. Really appreciate that, sir. That's awesome. Much appreciated. And Rob's a great friend of the show, Krillin. So anyway, but that's going to do it for today's show, guys. So I will catch you guys on Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon, and I will talk to you soon. This is Prof Sales saying good sales to you.